The Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 1 trailer just released, and we got a much better understanding of what will happen in Part 1 of Season 6. However, since we saw a large amount of footage that covers only 5 episodes, it seems like Part 1 may be slightly overcrowded. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about what I think will be happening in Part 1 for every episode. The first episode will most likely start with the aftermath of Season 5, and we see a few Cobra Kai students joining Miyagi-Do. We also know that the part of the first episode will be covering the students discussing what the name of their dojo should be, and I'm guessing that by either halfway through the episode or by the end of the episode they figure out the name for their dojo, which will probably be Miyagi-Fang, or they just decide to stick with Miyagi-Do. The trailer confirmed that Kreese and Kim will team up and start training those students in Part 1, which is something I didn't think would happen so soon, but I'm glad that it is. So my theory is that halfway through the first episode we see Kreese meeting Kim. By the end of the episode they would have left the valley and gone to Korea to open up their new dojo, which could be how the first episode ends. Now that could be everything we get in the episode 1, but I think there are still 2 important events that need to happen either in episode 1 or 2, with the first one being the rivalries build-up. We know from the trailer that Sam and Story still haven't settled their beef and will be fighting each other at some point during Part 1, which I think will happen in either episode 1 or episode 2. Robbie and Miguel also fight each other in the trailer, but I don't think this one has to do with bad blood between them. It has to do with something related to Sekai Taikai, but I'll get into that later on in the video. And the final rivalry we saw in the trailer was between Johnny and Daniel. I think this one can spread out from episodes 1 to 4, with each episode making the tension rise slightly, and in the 4th episode they settled their tension. The second important event that needs to happen is more information about the Sekai Taikai. So far all we know about the tournament is that it's a global tournament, but that's about it. I think in episode 2 the senseis will inform the students that the Sekai Taikai will be built out of tons of events and only a select group of students can compete in each one, which is why they bring in Mike Barnes to decide who goes through. And my theory is the main focus of Part 1 will be training for the Sekai Taikai and deciding who goes, and I think by the end of episode 2 we will see Kreese saying Cobra Kai is back as we see his new dojo. The third episode should focus on us getting a good look at the new Cobra Kai dojo, and we see how Kreese and Kim train them. The main part of the episode will be the challenges that Miyagi-Do has to go through for the selections, and I think that the scene we see in the woods with Dimitri in the trailer will most likely happen in episode 3. It will be some sort of challenge that tests the students like we haven't seen them before, and we'll decide who goes through. In episode 4 we will see the final selections for who goes through, which will most likely include Sam, Robbie, and Miguel. But Tori might not qualify for this if Mike Barnes doesn't think she's good enough to go through, and will kick her out of the dojo and choose Sam instead, which could cause the tensions between Sam and Tori to rise, setting up for a big fight in episode 5. I also think Kenny won't qualify, and that's why we see him fighting Robbie and Miguel, which will also most likely happen in episode 5. Now for the final thing I think will happen in episode 4 is a scene from the trailer where we see Daniel opening up a secret hatch that contains a secret from Mr. Miyagi. The episode will end with them opening up the box. This would lead us straight into episode 5 where we find out what's inside the box. The rest of the episode will most likely showcase the final fights. Sean will be released from jail and come back home to see Kenny all mad. Sean will then ask him what happened, and Kenny will say that he didn't qualify for the Sekai Taikai and Robbie and Miguel were picked instead of him. Sean then decides to help Kenny out, and the both of them go find Robbie and Miguel and fight them. Robbie probably won't want to fight Kenny, so he will have an advantage, but Miguel wouldn't be conflicted and he will beat them. Sam and Tori will settle their beef with a fight similar to how Robbie and Miguel did, and by the end of the fight they will be on good terms, but Tori will decide to take a break from karate because something would have happened to her mom. Johnny and Daniel will probably also almost get into a fight, but they would then realize that they're arguing over nothing just like they did in season 5, and they come to good terms. At the end of the episode, we see Kreese arriving in the valley with his new dojo. In the final scene, we see Terry Silver receiving mail from the officer saying that his appeal to get out of jail will happen in a week. Terry would then smile as the first part ends. That's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know how you think Part 1 will play out, and if you haven't seen my video where I break down the Season 6 trailer, go watch it right here.